Hi, my name is Vince Tejasputra, and I'm a Science Policy Fellow in Washington, D.C. My PhD is in clinical cardiopulmonary exercise physiology, which means that I study how the heart and lungs work together during exercise in healthy and diseased people. I specifically studied patients with chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, or COPD, which is a disease largely caused by smoking. And I want to share my personal perspective on the COVID-19 global pandemic. So COVID-19 is the disease caused by the virus SARS-CoV2, or Severe Acute Respiratory Syndrome Coronavirus 2. Now it's called that because it shares 96% identity of genetic material with the virus that caused the SARS outbreak in 2003. Now, SARS-CoV2, just like any other membrane-enclosed virus, is killed by soap or detergents, ethanol, Windex, which contains some detergents, and bleach. And it's important to know because some studies show that it depends on the surface. So, for example, steel and plastic, the virus can live on there for 12 hours. Cardboard and paper can live for 1 hour, and a recent study has shown that it might live for a while airborne. So it's important to not stay close to other people. Now, you probably already heard of and probably tired of hearing the phrase flattening the curve. And we are hammering this home for a reason. Now, this refers to slowing the spread of the disease so that patients that do go to the hospital can be managed and not be overwhelmed by the whole number of cases in the hospitals. So some estimates show that over the next month or two, the number of infected patients who need hospitalization in the United States is anywhere between 4 and 8 million. Now in the US, we probably have only about 1 million hospital beds and less than 100,000 ICU beds. And so it's important that we slow the progression of this disease, to slow the progression, the spread, so that people will have a chance to recover in a hospital bed. So I'm 33 years old, I'm relatively healthy, and I exercise daily, so I would be what you would consider relatively low risk. And I'm choosing to practice social distancing by staying indoors, working from home, and minimizing social in-person interaction, even if I feel fine. And the reason for this is that half of people who get infected will have no symptoms at all, or don't show symptoms for almost 2 weeks, which means that I could get it and easily pass it on to people and have no idea that I did so. And these other people could be at greater risk, or I could pass it on to low-risk people who pass it on to greater risk, etc., etc. And I don't want to be responsible for causing somebody else's death because I was deciding to go out instead of staying home. Now, don't forget that there are other reasons why you might need to go to a hospital other than coronavirus. So for example, if I get into a car accident and I need life-saving surgery, well, I might not be able to get it because a hospital has turned its ORs into ICUs, for example. That's an extreme example. But because coronavirus exists, it doesn't mean all the other diseases stop existing. So I would encourage you to be part of the solution, practice social distancing, and encourage people in your network to do the same. Now, yeah, it is scary, and we live in unprecedented times, and sometimes it feels like it's surreal. But there is hope, because there is something that you can do right now. Okay, the next 10 days are absolutely critical in slowing down the spread of disease, because we're at the beginning of the curve. Now, if we can keep delaying this increase, we can get more people into the hospitals and recovered before the next big influx. So we can't get complacent, and we can't think that we're invincible. And there's no way that we can think that we could not be the next Italy or Spain or France. This is not about us. And we absolutely do not have the medical capacity to treat all these patients all at once. So there might be a time where doctors have to decide who lives and who dies, or who has the chance of surviving more than the other patients who are at higher risk. Now, social distancing is hard, but it's necessary. And I am staying proactive here at home. I'm posting lots of my Instagram story about my quarantine kitchen. I stress cook, I stress bake, and I also stress eat. But I also lead a Zoom class for other fellows in my program. And so I'm having to work harder at keeping connected with people, but it's something that we just have to do. So really, don't panic, but you do have to take this seriously, and you need to do your part. And we can and absolutely will get through this, but we all have to pull together in the same direction.